Good morning, everyone. We're here in the Pine at the home of the future Barbados Fire Service Headquarters and Ambulance Service Headquarters. There have been some questions recently and some queries as to exactly what is going on here, what is the capacity of it, what is envisioned, what's the completion date, those sort of questions that the public has a right to know. So we've assembled all of the relevant persons who can answer those questions for you. And without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. George Holder, who's the project manager, and then he will direct it from there. Thank you.
First, we can start with progress. We started this project in August last year with the intention of finishing in March 2024. We've had some delays due to late arrival of reinforcing bars. And we're now looking at middle of May 2024 for completion. The project really is to house the headquarters of the Barbados Fire Service, the Bridgetown Fire Station, and the Ambulance Service of Barbados. It's about 55,000 square foot in space, and we will accommodate here 12 fire units, and we'll accommodate also 6 ambulances. Obviously, it's a 24/7 operation, and I think it represents the coalescing of the ambulance service and the Barbados Fire Service into an emergency service. Okay, so it's $29.7 million. There's the main block, which houses the offices, the dormitories, the fire appliances. This is block A. And then we have block B, which is the services. It houses the standby generator, air conditioning plant. And then there's block C, which is the fire prevention unit.
So just to create some context, it is very difficult to separate the operations in terms of emergency response from the fire service and the Barbados Ambulance Service. A lot of the serious things that the fire service are called out to deal with, including accidents, also involve the Barbados Ambulance Service. As part of the course for the intake of new recruits, the recruits are subjected to first aid training and EMT training. So that's pretty much a requirement now of all persons coming into the Barbados Fire Service. So as you can see, we are having a closer and closer collaboration between the Barbados Fire Service and the Barbados Ambulance Service. So when we decided that we needed to construct a new fire headquarters, the natural thing was to invite the ambulance service, if they wish to participate in it or be considered to come on board. I mean, initially it was just supposed to be Barbados Fire Service headquarters, and we adjusted and amended the plans to include the Barbados Ambulance Service because there is a necessary synergy. So it makes sense for them to be housed in the same area and share some of the common services. So that would explain why the building houses both, why we eventually going to be looking at a joint one PBX, one emergency service number, and sharing the dispatch operators, etc.
One of the things that concerned the fire service for many years was the fact that the fire station was located not only in a low-lying area, but it was also in the midst of high risk within the city area. If something were to occur in the city, the fire service must have the capacity to be able to respond and deal with the matter rather than being embroiled in it. So the movement of the fire department from where it was located and bringing it up on the ridge away from tidal activity and away from the magnitude of risk that is located within the city is not only a benefit to the fire department, but a benefit to the business people and also to the people of Barbados in general. One of the concerns that was raised when the fire station was moved was how quickly will the fire service be able to get back into the city. And we did tests to determine the response time in peak traffic. And both going from this area and coming to this area presented no more than 5 to 7 minutes depending on which appliance you were using. And that is within the range of response time that is expected for a fire station responding to structures
What I will say to support what the acting chief is saying is, look, we've done the disaster modeling, right? All who are present for the disaster modeling and the graphics and whatnot will understand that that Bridgetown is a high risk for tsunami. Bridgetown is also a high risk for severe flooding and damage on a hurricane. Ideally, the bulk of the emergency services should be out of Bridgetown. It is too low lying. So the decision to move up onto a hill at a higher elevation was not by accident. So it's not simply the ability to respond to a fire in Bridgetown that is of concern. It is also the ability to preserve the station, what makes sense for the other areas that the station is servicing, and what other coverage we have for the area. And we are satisfied that with all that we have, with the station being constructed here, with the facility at the port, Bridgetown is more than well serviced if anything should happen in Bridgetown. I am well aware of the challenges that we had. George provides reports constantly. As I said, there's no intention to hide anything, right? George provides reports constantly. On the progress, we were aware of the supply chain challenges. We were aware of the challenges with the rebar, I think it was, right? And it wasn't just this project, it was across Barbados. A lot of the projects across Barbados came to a halt because they simply could not get the steel. I am satisfied that the contractors are working as fast as they can, while towing the standard. I am satisfied with the reports of the project manager, but it is what it is. We don't create most of the raw materials here in Barbados, and if there are supply challenges again, then we will have further delays, but these are things that are necessarily outside of our control. Right now we look at, if you call the fire service, you have to call the fire service number. If you call the ambulance service, you have to call the ambulance service number. If you call the police service, you have to call the police service number. Half the time people don't know whether it is one or the next and start to call things at random. We are getting to a point, and we have to get to a point where we have one emergency number, right? Where persons can call, and then the dispatcher, who's a trained dispatcher, can dispatch to exactly where it's supposed to go, right? And it prevents a lot of confusion with people making multiple calls, because for the same incident, people will call the fire service, they'll call the police service, they'll call whatever. If you have one number, it can be logged one time, and then it handled in a systematic way. The other thing we're moving away from, and you're going to see very shortly, is the use of trained officers for dispatch services. There's no good reason why an officer who has had full fire service training should be sitting down answering a phone instead of being one of the resources to go and deal with fires. There's no good reason why a trained EMT should be answering a phone. There's no reason why in the police service a police officer should be answering a phone. All those are civilian tasks, or tasks that can be done by properly trained civilian personnel, thereby freeing up the people that we've invested money in training to actually perform the services. So I can assure you that when this comes online, you would definitely have civilian dispatchers by that time who are handling the calls in relation to both the fire service and the ambulance service. And as I said, we are looking at the logistical requirements for consolidating into one emergency number.